I'm here to talk to you about how technology has changed the face of marketing. When I reflected on the theme, the next chapter, I asked myself, what do I have to say to make meaning in the discussion that I'll have today? The next chapter is an interesting one. But before I go on to talk about the import of all that, Peter Drucker is a special marketing guru who once said that the fundamental task of a business is to create and retain loyal customers. So the role of the marketer in business is to ensure that we create and retain loyal customers. But that has become much, much more tricky. And why is this? Let's take a short journey and go back in time to about 15 years ago or there, about 20 years. Because I have been practicing marketing for about 20 years, and I can tell you the role of technology in marketing has been completely changed over time. I've already mentioned next chapter. So before we get into what we're experiencing today, 10, 15 years ago, I was privileged to be one of the first people to be in the mobile phone industry in Ghana. I don't know if you remember the brick, the Motorola phone. How many of you remember how big that phone was? It was massive, heavy. You needed a briefcase to carry it around. It cost thousands and thousands of dollars. So it was the privileged few who had the mobile phone. And as a marketer in those days, all we had to do was create communication to drum home the benefit of standing outside and speaking on your phone. So for me, my tree is not very good, but I can remember those days was Mijina Buntina Mekasai. Let's move forward. In those days, a mobile phone did very little. Minimal functionality, make and receive a few calls, and that was it. Pictures. Today, we take pictures like every second. We'll talk a bit more about that. At that time, you needed your traditional cameras, the Canons, the Kodaks, and so on, to take your pictures because the mobile phone had not evolved, technology had not evolved as much. And then if you had the opportunity of sending a child or seeing somebody off at the airport to go abroad, it will take weeks before you hear from that person. Communication was slower. You had to go to the Ghana Post, send a letter. It would take 2 weeks, and then, if you're lucky, 2 to 3 weeks' time, you hear back from that person to confirm that he actually arrived. Fast forward to today. What do we experience now? With the advent of the internet, the World Wide Web, and thanks to Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, life has been transformed, and the marketing profession is not the same. Right now, the marketer is constantly on the spot, to the extent that we have had to create roles like the online manager, because the power is now in the consumer's hand. Why do I say that? In the past, as I said, you communicate, you leave it out there, it's on television, radio. The consumer is passive, very little interaction. Today, interaction is real time and it's now. Brands cannot hide anymore. You can't pretend that you don't know what the consumer is saying. The feedback is both negative and positive. It is an opportunity for brands to be humble and listen to the consumer. And this is where the importance of the consumer being king is even more pertinent, because you can get information real time and act on it. It's so fast-paced, so much is changing. I mean, right now, I was telling you earlier that you needed to take a picture and then, have it printed. Today, the pictures are taken instantly. So people are sharing things all the time. And in a way, it's also good for the marketer. Why am I saying it's good? Because at least, because the consumer is king and you exist to create and attain consumer, you are able to tell exactly what the consumer is thinking and saying. So as a brand, yours is to ensure that you take that information, turn it around, and engage better so that you stay ahead of the competition. That also brings me to the point that competition, competition, competition. It's a war out there. At first, it was very difficult to get information, but now you can read all the reviews. You know what your consumers are saying about yourself, what they are saying about your competitor, and therefore it gives you an edge and makes the competition even keener because everybody knows real time what is going on. You know, McKinsey, a very respected consultancy in the US, did some research and realized that 72% of the chief marketing officers spoken to have indicated that they are sure that digital media is definitely here to stay and will continue to influence the marketing mix and how we do business. You know, one of the 4 P's of marketing is about place. In the past, it was about bricks and mortar. You had to go to a place. Yes, there's still the relevance of the retail shops and so on, but place is now virtual. There's the introduction of online shopping. Who would have thought of all these things many years ago? When I was in the industry in the beginning, before I moved out into the brewery industry and came back to Vodafone today, we would never have imagined that the digital world now is so virtual that people are using electronic payments to pay for things. But it presents a wonderful opportunity for the marketer. A lot of collaboration can be done. I can give you an example, for example, a yogurt in South Africa called Yogi Sip. Because of this virtual interaction, decided to take advantage of people wanting to share their photos, create videos, and so on, and engage better with the consumer. So what did they do? They ran a promotion, which is one of the big marketing P's, by the way, and said, for anyone who created a lovely story on video, captured it on camera, uploaded it, the best video will be used to create advertising for the brand. And that really went viral. Consumers got engaged and there was a lot of participation. What we're saying is that the world has changed. Today, you need to connect with your consumer in a way that is different, that has never been the same. We are no longer passive. The mobile phone is an extension. It's become a limb. We have it with us. How many of you have your phones here? And I'm sure you're already tweeting, making comments, and saying all kinds of, everything is real time. E-commerce, as I've mentioned, is also becoming important. The question then is, has traditional media died? Is there a role for traditional media? I'm happy to say, though, that there is still a role for the traditional media. Why is there a role for traditional media? In Ghana, for example, mobile internet is 50% internet penetration that we have, which means there's still a lot of people out there who haven't yet accessed this wonderful digitization we're talking about. The other thing is that 10 years or so ago, we had 1 TV station at best, 2. Now we have 19 TV stations. We have 200 plus radio stations, which tells me that people must be listening. Otherwise, why are licenses being offered for those radio stations to come on? So the question is, what then do you do as a marketer? Things are moving fast. Consumer now has the power in their hand. And at Vodafone, we really believe the power is in your hand. So what do we need to do? The two must coexist. So ensure that your traditional media, which can drive mass appeal and go to places that you would otherwise not go, is happening all the time. But connecting it back so that on social media you can get up close and personal and interact with the consumer, because you can hear what they're saying daily and interact and feedback and respond very quickly. With research, mobile research, you can find out from people what they want. Immediately they tell you, you can design products that suit people's taste faster and increase your productivity much more than 10, 15 years ago. So the next chapter, which I'm linking this all in, is here with us today. It's not something that's far-fetched. I was surprised to find out that the whole thing about Internet of Things is actually happening on my phone. I mean, I tried the Note 4, and I could control my television and control my air conditioner. And I was like, everything that is being experienced elsewhere is happening right here with us in Ghana, which reinforces that our expectations are much higher, and therefore all brands, marketing professionals cannot afford to be left behind. So what's the import of all this? The import of all this is that change is here, it's moving fast. Digitization has become a part of our lives. We can't run away from it. Amazon is thinking of even using drones to deliver goods in front of people's doors. What else is coming? So much more. The next chapter, ladies and gentlemen, is with us. We either get with it and move with the times and be dynamic, or you face death. Thank you very much.